Hi, I'm Extraayogurt and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, then welcome back. And today we are building our first community lot in our neighborhood, Sunwater. Sunwater is a neighborhood that I made dedicated to small and CC-free lots, which are all also meant to be fully furnished. So with that, I've chosen to make our first community lot a restaurant. Every neighborhood needs a restaurant, of course. So I figured why not start with that. And you'll see that I'm using a 3x3 lot, which I think I intend to make the biggest lot size that I use in this neighborhood, just for, playability reasons and things like that. That was kind of my motivation to make this neighborhood. Now, secondly, of course, I missed you guys so much, and I really missed the channel, and I missed playing Sims. Of course, life gets busy. I'm sure the same happens for all of us trying to make time for Sims, but also on top of that, my game has just been experiencing so many issues that it's made it really hard to keep up the motivation to want to get on and play. It just seems like with every new lot that I add, there comes more issues, and it just makes it so hard to want to get on and just start building. So yeah, a few of you guys have helped me a lot with solutions to help my game run a bit better. And I've taken a lot of your guys' advice. It's just still like, I don't know. It's like when I first started my channel, my game ran so well for years. It ran perfectly. And now that I have so many lots and custom neighborhoods and all these things, custom content, my game is just not handling it well. But besides that, so in May, I had gone on a trip to visit some family, and when I came back, I was super sick. Like, I thought I had COVID or the flu or something like that, but I was super sick, coughing so much that I could not make it through a sentence, and it lasted pretty much an entire month, and I'm still kind of getting over it, which is why you might notice I sound a bit quiet or a bit tired. I have just been literally nonstop coughing for the past month and sneezing and everything. But it turns out that it was an upper respiratory infection, which is a pretty common kind of sickness to get, especially when you're traveling and not sleeping well. But it really made my hiatus from YouTube last even longer, because there was no way I would be able to do any voiceovers or speak, because I was just constantly coughing, and it was really tiring to talk, and like I lost my voice for a while. So all these things combined just kind of made it hard for me to come back. But I'm really hoping that at some point I catch some sort of stride again to where I'm just nonstop uploading, because obviously Sims is really important to me. It brings me a lot of joy, and I hate abandoning the channel and not getting to keep up with you guys and talk to you guys and everything. So but anyway, besides that, let's talk a little bit less about me and a little bit more about the build. So so I've decided to build a brewery, and I named it Sunwater Brewing Co. because I'm not very clever or creative when it comes to naming lots. But funnily enough, I really do not like beer. I actually hate it, but I do think that the brewery aesthetic and kind of, classic brewery design was something really interesting that I wanted to try and tackle. And honestly, I am a little bit disappointed that I chose to do this in Sunwater, because I mean, I feel like this is a build that's really meant for a really big lot, with a lot more space than I had here. But we made it work, and I'm not too mad at it. I'm not thrilled with the outcome, but I'm definitely not disappointed. I think maybe it will grow on me the more that I look at the build. But yeah, so of course, completely CC free, and with that, I had to find some kind of creative way to make the what's it called? The beer vats, basically the big huge tanks that have like the grain in them and everything. And you guys will see, hopefully someone thinks that it looks decent, but doing certain things with no CC it's very difficult. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think when you guys see it, when we get to that part. I'm sorry, I'm like stumbling over my words a bit, but yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of beer, but I do love the brewery aesthetic. Typically they are modeled after factories, or there are also a lot of like farmhouse style breweries, and usually you'll see like a really big outdoor area, or the building may even have like this kind of like a free-flowing indoor-outdoor kind of situation, like maybe a big garage door that they open and close, things like that. It's just overall very like spacious and kind of factory-like, or farmhouse-like. So hopefully I kind of captured the factory look the way that I wanted to, or at least in a way that gets the idea across. I didn't want it to look exactly like a factory. I still wanted it to kind of have a cozy, like homey restaurant vibe, but I wanted some of those elements. But yeah. I also wanted to quickly talk about how obviously when you're sick, you spend a lot of time indoors. Can't really go anywhere because you don't feel great. And I wanted to talk about how staying indoors really, really kills my inspiration. I'm a super homebody, so I love staying indoors, but of course to a point. The amount of time that I had to stay inside while being sick was about to drive me insane, and it really, really hurt my building inspiration because of course I didn't get to see the outside world as much, and didn't get to look at buildings and things like that, and look at nature and be on the road and stuff. So that was really annoying. And on the topic of inspiration, I also wanted to quickly mention Pinterest and ask you guys, are we all having the same kind of issue, running into a lot of AI on Pinterest? Because that used to be one of my main sources of inspiration for my builds, and now particularly when you're looking at things like recipes and architecture, it is absolutely flooded with AI. So you guys let me know if you guys are also having that same issue, or if maybe I need to do better at curating my Pinterest feed. But I really used to love Pinterest, but that is just a huge thing for me that has been really annoying. And obviously, you can spot out AI from real things, but if you're scrolling through a feed of hundreds of pictures, honestly, at a glance, it can be more difficult than you think to spot out the AI, until of course you click it, and then immediate disappointment kind of sets in. So yeah, that's been annoying. I have resorted more to like architecture blogs, architecture YouTube channels, Google Images, and things like that in the meantime while I figure that out. But yeah, I just find it really, really annoying and kind of sad. Of course, I think AI is really cool, and it definitely has a place in the creativity world somewhere, but it's just not on my Pinterest feed, you know. I just can't stand it. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm hoping I gradually gain my inspiration back the more I build. And also, I still have yet to figure out how to make my builds less time consuming. I mean, I am like famous for having these super long builds and taking so long on them, whether they're big builds or small builds. I just take all of eternity to get these things done. And obviously it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if I want to roll out videos more often, more consistently, I have to make it less daunting. And if I know the next video is going to take me 12 hours to build the lot that I'm featuring, that does make it a bit difficult. So yeah, I don't know. I have really been enjoying making those building tips videos, and I think you guys have received them well. So I have been working on kind of building the template for the next one of those. And also, some of you guys might be happy to know I did purchase a new keyboard and mouse, which are very low profile and meant to be extremely quiet. So if you watch those building tips videos, you'll know that the biggest issue about them is that you can hear me clicking around and typing every single keystroke, every click, every movement you can hear. So I did invest in a new keyboard to solve that problem. So hopefully the next building tips videos are a lot more tolerable. But yeah, so here I am kind of mapping out the huge tanks or beer vats that I was talking about. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. Well, that's not true. I did a lot of researching into what they kind of look like, how they differ from place to place. And this is honestly the best that I felt that I could do. And I love it. I actually do love it. So yeah. Also, okay, you guys will notice that pretty much the first floor is where all of the functional things are. And then the second floor is mainly kind of an observation point. So when I was doing my little bit of research, I did notice the same kind of structure in different breweries or brewing factories, where there is this big kind of what's the word? Just a big kind of like layout of walkways to where the employees can observe like the inside of the vats. Obviously, some of them are huge, some of them are super, super tall, so you have to be able to look down on it from a second floor. So I tried to kind of incorporate that the best I could with the space that we had, and I thought it would be cool to pretty much utilize the vats as kind of my way of decorating the restaurant. Since obviously they're not functional, the best purpose that they can serve is to make the restaurant look good. So you'll see I add a lot of details to them and make them look a little bit more, make them look more functional with different objects and things. And I have to say, something I really loved about this build was the fact that adding those tanks made it so much easier to decorate. I'm pretty comfortable with decorating, but when it comes to the 2-story builds that I make that are open, like open from the first to the second floor, it can be really annoying and hard for me to decorate that second floor. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but you guys will see as we go on. There's only so many wall hangings and wallpapers that I'm interested in using. So, and sometimes I do use mirrors to kind of fill wall space, but in general, filling wall space with no CC in this game can be quite a chore. So when I can do different kind of unique things like this and use different ways to fill that empty space, I feel really accomplished. So also something you'll notice is on the outside I chose to do black accents. So all of the signage is black, the fencing, or at least like the metal fencing, the doors and windows, everything is black. And then on the inside, the theme I kind of decided to go for was very silver and metal, gray, and still a bit of black, but mostly gray, silver, and stuff like that. And so it looks very, very kind of factory-esque, which is what I was going for. And yeah, I think this lot provided just enough space, but like I said earlier, I would have loved to be able to do this build on a bigger lot and make it look even more kind of like a factory. So yeah. I'm actually not certain if I've talked about this in a building tips video already, but if I have not, I have to remember to talk about wallpapers and floor coverings. It's seriously been that long to where I don't remember all of the material that I covered. So yeah, so wall coverings and floor coverings are like my greatest enemy in this game. And I say enemy because they always present the biggest challenge for me when I'm designing builds. I think this takes up like 30% of the time that it takes me to build and decorate. I'm just constantly trying to figure out what walls to use, what floors to use. But yeah, I definitely want to cover this in a building tips video to explain what I want to say in the shortest way possible. Basically, just using a bunch of different wall coverings, a bunch of different floor coverings, and mixing and matching things to get a certain look, instead of just making everything one wallpaper, making all of the floors one floor. I mean, you guys can see in this build I use probably like 12 different wall coverings to achieve the look that I want. But oh my gosh, guys, I really apologize for the sleepy commentary. I mean, like I said, yes, I'm getting over a sickness, but it is also 12 a.m. And yeah, so but I mean, we're just hanging out, and over analyzing Sims 2 like always. So hopefully you guys don't mind, but yeah, I'm just fumbling over my words a bit. So the kind of accent color that I decided to go with, well, it's not much of an accent color, but I guess secondary color I chose was this kind of yellowish, brownish brick. And then later on in the build, you'll see that I add some green to kind of brighten things up. And yeah, it ends up looking really cute. Like I said, still very much factory-like, but still cozy enough to be a restaurant. I add lots of bars because obviously this is a brewery. And there's plenty of seating. The outdoor portion, although I do like how, also I'm not sure what I was doing here and why it's frozen in time, but okay, we're back. So the outdoor portion, although I like how the structure looks with the columns and foundations, I don't actually like what I used it for in the end. In the end, instead of it being an outdoor dining space, I made it into kind of a lounge and entertainment area, which is not a bad thing. It's just that I tend to do that a lot. And I can say that honestly about multiple things that I do in my builds. Sometimes I tend to reuse the same ideas way too much. And I'm still trying to figure out a way to kind of be okay with that, like, for example, I mean, in real life, you have different building companies, and they all kind of have their signature style and signature things. And I have to remember that it's okay for certain aspects to be the same across my builds, because I am just one person doing different builds. So I guess it's kind of my way of putting my signature on things when I reuse concepts like that. But in my mind, it was just a little bit annoying, and I kind of thought of it as like like I'm struggling with creativity, like I'm hitting a roadblock. But really, I mean, I feel like this build was not super hard for me, despite how long it's been. I was just kind of battling with the wall coverings, as you can see, for most of the time. But also in the beer vats, you'll notice that I used carpet floor coverings in 3 different shades of, I guess, brown or reddish brown. And I wanted to do that to kind of emulate how beer might look. There's light beers and then there's darker beers. So that was kind of my thought process behind it. But the funny thing is, looking at pictures of the beer vats, like from real life, it actually looks like they're filled with water, or at least some of them are, like completely filled with water. And the actual like beer, like the final product is all the way at the bottom. So I know no one's grading me on accuracy, but I just thought that was interesting. So as you guys can see, I extended that out a bit so that I could add some additional tanks, and just kind of tailoring the exterior a bit to fit those changes. And yeah. Okay, so not to scare you guys, but I am back. I did a little revisit of our building tips videos, and so I haven't covered in depth wall coverings and floor coverings yet. So that will definitely be next to cover, and of course we'll have to do lots and lots of decorating tips. Oh my gosh, I just my decorating process, I would love to see what you guys think of it, at least when I get to talk about it more in depth. But surprisingly, during all these super long build videos that I have, I never really talk that much in depth about why I choose the objects I choose, or like my design ideas, but I'm interested to know what you guys think of it. So I'll make sure to cover these things when we do building tips again. So anyway, as you can see, I've placed a ton of dining tables and chairs, and I am trying to get a feel for what I can do with the kitchen area. Thankfully, with restaurants in this game, you really need very few objects, which is one of the really wonderful things about Sims 2. I mean, that leaves so much opportunity open for the types of restaurants you can make. And not to say that's not the case with the other Sims games, but I just happen to be a Sims 2 expert, and I'm very much a beginner when it comes to the other Sims games. So anyway, so yeah, here I am creating another tank, which I have placed above one of the bars, and I thought this would be genius because it's like a floating tank that can dispense beer directly to the bar. And this is where you'll see me adding a bunch of pipes to try to make it look like something of the sort. So yeah, I think it starts to look really cool once we add all the details, and it's a cute little restaurant. I'm hoping this will be very playable and meet all my expectations for our kind of small lot thing. On the topic of lots and everything, and my frustrations with my game not functioning properly, I really don't have any aversions to just starting over. I mean, I don't mind just backing up this game to an SSD and just, kind of putting it to rest and then starting over. I'm not sure why, but I just love a fresh start. Maybe a little bit too much, to the point where I've deleted a lot of good builds and in good neighborhoods, but yeah, that may be something I consider, and I think it would be a lot of fun to start over, start fresh, and have my game perform the way that I want it to. And of course, that brings on the question of like, well, what happens when your game starts performing poorly again? And I'm kind of thinking, and I think that my solution is to continuously kind of start fresh. And okay, let me just pause on that for a second. So I added these ship steering things onto each of the tanks, because that is actually, well, something like what you would see in real life on these beer vats. They have a bunch of turning things and locking mechanisms, and for the purposes of this being CC free, this was the best that I could do. And then I also found this cool propeller wall hanging, and I just decided, hey, that kind of looks like something that I could throw onto these tanks and make them look a little bit more functional. But okay, but as I was saying about starting fresh and things, so yeah, my solution that I have right now is just to continuously kind of start over when I feel that I need to, or when I feel like I've created a neighborhood and it's done, and just back it up, start fresh, and start from the top. And the reason I feel that may work for me is because I'm very build focused. I'm not super gameplay focused, although I do love playing the game. I'm just super like build and neighborhood creation and that sort of thing, like focused on that, uploading lots, making beautiful neighborhoods, maybe telling a little bit of a story along the way, but not necessarily committing to playing the families and building their stories out and everything. So yeah, I'm not against that idea at all, honestly. I really miss the way my game used to run, with very little intervention from me. I mean, I didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. It just ran so beautifully. And I guess I can't be too mad or too upset, because it has literally been years and I have loads of stuff in my game now. I feel like I just can only expect so much of such an old game. Well, I guess technically not so old, since it's been re-released. Well, not remastered, but just re-released. So, but yeah. Anyway, here I am, just adding a little bit more decoration to the kitchen, and kind of carrying on that silver theme. You'll notice that I've chosen to just make little rooms for the bathrooms. I'm slowly kind of getting away from the like men and women's bathroom idea, although I do still build lots with that. I don't know, I just really like the idea of just making each bathroom its own room instead, and that way either sim can use it, and it's kind of like a little personal bathroom rather than a big community bathroom. However, for realism, I do sometimes prefer to have the big men's and women's bathroom, but yeah. Okay, so as you can see, here is my wall of plants. I just did that to kind of get the placement of where I wanted the plants right, and although I do use this object a lot, I feel like I was probably right on the fence between just enough and overusing it, but I just didn't want to sift through the catalog for another hour and try to find things that perfectly match right as I wanted them to. I told myself just not to overthink it, so I went with mainly that IKEA plant, kind of scattered it around, and I also used this wall hanging with green accents to complement the plants, and I really like how it came out. I feel like it's a simple but very effective way of decorating that blank wall, especially because we're a little bit tight on space. The funny thing is, while the chairs aren't pushed in, it looks like this restaurant is super cramped, but in live mode, when all the chairs are pushed in, it looks a lot better and a lot more spacious. So yeah, and of course I added a little mini hallway for the restrooms. I love doing that as well. I think it's just a really nice, clean way to add your bathrooms to your lot. And then I went ahead and added these little rugs under the small tables, and I added these green floor coverings to the larger tables. Not necessarily meant to look like a rug, but I guess it does kind of look that way. So yeah, I just really liked that shade of green, and I feel like adding little pops of that helped brighten up the restaurant a bit. And I think it was at this point that I was like starting to really fall in love with the way the beer tanks came out. It does bother me just a little bit that this restaurant reminds me a lot of another build I did called the Green Plate. I very unintentionally did a lot of things similarly to that build. And we already talked about this before. You know, that's fine. It's fine that I did that, but it did bug me a little bit. And I didn't even think twice about it. It just happened. So, but yeah, I mean, they definitely have their own personalities and their own kind of styles. So here I am trying to make some kind of semi-unique signage using the Sim Greek letters, which are my best friend when it comes to these no CC builds. And I wanted to make sure there was a bit of signage on the inside as well. And yeah, I really like how this came out. I did say earlier that I wasn't thrilled with the outcome, but I think I'm mostly referring to the outdoor portion. It's just really big, and I think if I made it smaller, I would have liked it a lot more. But yeah, so there above the front door, you'll see that at first I was going to add mirrors, but I thought I kind of overused that idea. So instead, I used another overused idea that I do, and I chose to put fake windows. So just regular windows, but they don't actually lead to outside. And I mean, even though I've used that method a few times before, it just fit way too perfectly for this build not to do that again. So yeah. All right, so here we're getting into the really fun part where we do a puzzle with the air vent accessories. So you might ask why so many lines of air vents, and the answer is I just liked how it looked. I felt that it made it look even more like a factory, and so I just went overboard with it. Now, in reality, do I actually know if this is a lot or not? I'm not certain, but it feels like a lot. But yeah, I really liked that exposed look, and really, when you look at the restaurant from the inside, it doesn't look like quite as overwhelming, but I completely understand if you guys think maybe I went a bit too far with the air vents. So yeah, but I love that this came with apartment life. Actually, I think it's one of my favorite objects in the game, just the ability to do this and things with the pipes and everything, and just add that extra level of detail to your builds without having to use any CC. So yeah, that took me a while to figure out how exactly I wanted it to look. And then of course, one of my favorite things ever, we're getting into the lighting. So I tried to do a mix of warm lighting and harsh lighting, or cold lighting, and in the end, I really like how it came out. I know I say that all the time, but whenever it comes to me actually liking my builds, it's always a process. I always start off really excited, and then I kind of start to go downhill, and then at some point during the build, something will click, and then I'll know exactly where I'm going, what I'm doing, where I'm taking the build, and I end up just really liking it and appreciating it. Even if I don't end up loving the build, I do end up appreciating it. So, and of course, it's always good to practice your building skills. And yeah, it's kind of like a muscle that I have to constantly exercise, making sure that I keep that kind of like creative juice going. So yeah. Alright, so truthfully, I should have cut this entire part out, but I do actually want you guys to see what the outdoor space was going to be and how awful it was going to be. So at first I just kind of figured the easy route would be to just copy everything from inside and bring it outside, but that came with a lot of kind of design issues and things clashing. You know, the lighting is so different, and it's just a completely different feel outside. I feel like what I had going on inside was just not at all transferable. to the outside. So with that being said, I still tried to make it work, and I just absolutely did not like it. But yeah, I mean, I just hate the way that I designed this portion. It's huge. Like, it's as big as the dining area inside of the restaurant. And there's 2 floors of it as well. So yeah, I don't know, guys. So yeah, as you can see, I'm like trying all types of different floor coverings, trying to see if I can make it work. And don't get me wrong, this is a really good process to follow. You know, you have to try different things out and see what works, because you never know, you might end up with something very unique that you've never done before that ends up looking really good. But in this case, for me, it was just looking like an absolute mess. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just watching this, like trying to decide what would have been a better use of this space, or if maybe I should have just made it smaller, or just demolished it completely, made it into like a garden or something. But of course, these are things that I'll think about for the next build. So yeah, I just scrapped all of that, started over, kept the kind of dark gray hardwood, and I decided to make a little carpeted area for musical instruments, both on the bottom and top floor, just with different types of guitars, just to add like a little bit of variety at least, so it's not a complete copy on both floors. But I went ahead and play tested this lot and made sure your Sims could use everything and get around just fine, despite how crowded it might look. And it was almost perfect. So I think there's literally 2 armchairs. Is that the right term? Armchair? I think there's literally 2 armchairs in the outdoor area that your Sims can't sit on because they are too close to the coffee table. But shouldn't be a big issue, you know. Everything else is completely functional. And while I was playtesting, of course, there was lots of wonderful purple flashing that just was the cherry on top of this build. So yeah, I just went with these sofas and armchairs that came with Apartment Life. I tend to use these a lot in outdoor spaces because they kind of look like they're a material that could withstand a little bit of weather. But yeah, just added some little coffee tables. I didn't want to overcrowd the space, but I wanted it to have just enough to not look empty. And yeah, I think it's really cute. So currently, guys, it is 1:20 a.m. and once again, like I said, I apologize for the sleepy commentary. I really don't mean to sound sleepy, but like I said, like just still recovering from the cough that I had, and it's very late, so naturally I feel like I am speaking a lot quieter, but the video's almost coming to an end, and I wanted to take some extra time to say once again, thank you all so much for sticking around and still checking out my videos. I'm really excited about the little Sims 2 community that we've created in our little corner of the internet, and I'm really happy about all the people that not only still play but have gotten to get back into playing because of the re-release or whatever else. So yeah, I really appreciate it, guys, and I'm hoping to, like I said, catch some sort of stride and consistency with posting. You guys are always really supportive and patient, and you know, I've never received any rude comments or anything like that, so that makes it really easy to come back as well. And I'm excited to watch some of your guys' content again and get caught up. But yeah, I thanks for hanging out with me and you know, listening to me just kind of talk about nothing for a while. Let me know what you think of the build, of course. Let me know if you actually download it and play it. And I'm gonna take some time over the next couple of days to respond and catch up to all the comments that I've missed. But yeah, I really appreciate your guys' feedback, and yeah, let's just keep the Sims 2 community alive. Let's keep uploading, keep sharing what you're doing. You guys can find me on Tumblr, on Mod the Sims, and yeah. Oh, here I am just doing a bunch of landscaping. I'm sorry, I'm like getting a little bit off track as I'm watching the video go by, but I really enjoyed this build, and I enjoyed talking to you guys, and I look forward to many more videos. As for the rest of this video, I think I'm just going to leave it here and leave you guys with the final cinematic shots and all of the screenshots. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next build. Bye bye.